Habitat is where it's at. Look at the shoreline, covered in boulders, covered in kelp. There's exposed rocks out here, but also you'll notice submerged rocks as well. They're covered in kelp. There's a lot of natural food here, and this is why we're going to strayline into this area. As the tide has only just turned, the least weight you can possibly use when straylining, it allows you to feel the fish bite. So right now we're not even going to use a trace, we're just a hook straight onto the end of the line so we can detect and feel every bite. Once the tide starts running, you're going to need a little bit of weight, so you use the smallest sinker possible, and to get the best effect of feeling the bite, I don't even use a trace. So I simply slide the sinker through, let it go. This granny knot is very strong if you do it correctly, so you just fold the line over to a loop, roll it over and make a simple knot. If I pulled that tight like that, it's weak, but if I put my finger like that, pulling it through and then roll the nylon together with a little bit of weight on my finger like that, that means the nylon closes down on itself and is very strong. We've done the knot, we're going to put the hook on. Notice we use a 7-bar hook. That means it'll sink into the fish. It's big enough to be exposed from the bait, but it doesn't actually hook too many undersized fish. Make sure that you get the hook set the right way. You go from the top of the hook, slipping the knot through it, and back down and through it and pulling it up. That way the hook lays dead straight. So when you strike, that will drive that hook straight into the fish's mouth. We're going to use a little strip bait of trevally here. I go through the skin side first, taking the barb right the way through. Then I push it again straight through, but between my fingers so the fish doesn't break up. I then make sure there's no scales on it. So that means that it's gone through the skin there, through the skin there. You'll notice how well exposed that hook is. Fish do not see hooks, so therefore if that fish gets that hook in its mouth, I strike, it drives it straight up into it. If the hook was buried in the flesh, it can spit the hook without it actually being set. The most important thing is to be able to cast a great distance and also accurately. As you can see behind us where those rocks are submerged in the water, the dark spots there, we want to place our baits around that because that's where the fish will be lying. So if you hold your line, as most people do, at that point and try and cast, you've got no distance and no direction. But if you take your line on your finger, put it in the reel seat there, and then open your bail arm, you've got total control of that line. So when you pull the rod back and flick it, you let your finger go at the point of where you want that bait to land. It's simple as that, and it's not hard. You don't have to be a very strong, powerful person to cast a great distance. Okay, so once I've cast, I make sure that the rod is always pointed in the same direction. It means that the line can come off the top of the reel, through the guides with the least resistance. If you hold it off to one side, it's going to have line slap all the way and slow the distance, but more importantly the accuracy of where you're going to put your bait. Okay, what I want to do is put it close to that rock back there, so the finger's right at the reel seat like that, and just use the hand here as a pivot point, holding the rod dead straight. It's hit the water. I now hold the line on the reel face. The moment that bait has hit the water, I then put my hand on the face of the reel so that I can now slowly let the line out, so the bait and the sinker sink down together. I don't want the bait over here and the sinker down there. I won't be able to feel that fish picking that bait up. And now slowly letting that line out, I'm in total touch with the bait and the sinker, and by keeping the rod tip down with the finger having the line running over it, there's less windage as if I put it in a rod holder, but now I can see what's happening if a fish starts straightening out that line, but I can feel the bite on my finger and be prepared to strike.